So I would leave it the mic first. Maybe you start to talk about the process of working on your film, or actually it's like as you put it, you will present your whole work and then we stop with Dolls Don't Cry, right?
Yeah, but I can just only explain that the difference is me. I kind of always make the same film, and I just kind of remake it always. And the idea, and which I come to the point to succeed to make, I think, my first good film, let's say, is which Dolls Don't Cry. So the idea was always really for me to remake the same film and then just remove the part that I don't like and then add a new one. And so all the films, there's 4 films. I call it a series. And to me, they all fit together, and I thought those films to screen them together, actually. So you start with The Drawer and the Crow, and it's a very soft, poetic movie. And then after you go to, they're not in the right order there, after you go to Princess, which is kind of the same film. Even some scenes are exactly the same, and I did it on purpose, but it's a complete opposite film. It's a really dark film, and it's I think it's the darkest film I will ever do. And then after, and in that film Princess, it's a hunter and not a hunter, sorry, it's a man and his wife, and they're living in a strange house. And maybe he's kind of a hunter because he brings a suitcase, and in the suitcase he has a rabbit, and a dead rabbit, and the woman's gonna cook it. So when I went to Blanche Fraise, I decided to do like very similar story, only this time it was the rabbit, the main character, and when they open the suitcase, it's like they're vegetables. So they all link together. And why it took me a lot of time to succeed, to be satisfied with the concept for the 4th film, which was supposed to be the last of this series, is because I wanted the 4th film to be a loop of all this together. And I wanted to go back to the style of The Drawer and the Crow, because I thought it was like my favorite film that I did, but I thought the visual was very amateur. So really, for me, Dolls Don't Cry is kind of a remake of The Drawer and the Crow, and just trying to make it better. And I wanted to do like some kind of a circle, so you can find all the elements of all the film in the last films. Like it's a bit the story of The Drawer and the Crow, and you get the story which the animator does with the rabbit, and and then there's more like the 2 women situation is very similar to the one in The Drawer and the Crow, and in the Princess, like it's always been the same thing. The women are kind of not competing for the man, but a little bit. But finally, instead of fighting each other, they kind of is kind of a friendship that developed between the 2 women characters, which are supposed to be kind of opposite. And so
where is the scary wolf? It's in Princess and in Blanche Fraise, right? Yeah, so we screen it.
Yeah, and then you see it a little bit in Blanche Fraise also. But when it was really clear to me when I did Dolls Don't Cry that I didn't want to make like some people say it's dark, but for me it's not a dark film. But I wanted to make really a beautiful, delicate, soft, and quiet film. And I really enjoy doing it, much more than a dark film.
Can I ask you about your backgrounds, like about your beginnings? Because we know that Canada and Montreal, like the home of the NFB and the home of like a big tradition, rich tradition in animation. But for you, you were kind of like, in a way, like an outsider also in this world. Yeah. So independent from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay, so first I studied just one. There was one school. It's like Cégep. It's like after the high school, you can go there. It's not university. It's specific to Canada, maybe France. I'm not sure. And then I just studied 1 year, but it was a 1-year class, and you only pay $900.
So Cégep is continuing education, I would
say.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. So there was a cartoon animation class. So I did that. But at the end, they allow me to, and with a friend, we did a stop-motion film, which I'm not going to show you. And actually, I don't keep those, my older films. I have no copy. There's an art center which has them, but really, it's not worth seeing it. And so I did a student film, which was really like at that time, it was at the time that people thought like stop motion was going to disappear because 3D, and it was really hard to make a stop motion film because you needed a very expensive video card to the computer and stuff like that. So I did this student film, and it actually worked very well. And even if it's really ugly and amateur, it was screened many places, and not many, but a few places, and that led me to meet the video center in Quebec City, which is called La Bande Video, which I've been working with them for 18 years now, and I did all these films except Dolls Don't Cry. I did it in their studio, and they really helped me to make films. Like I could use their studio for free, do post-production for free, everything, have a technician. So I definitely learned to do animation in their studios.
But by yourself?
Yeah, by myself. At the beginning I was with a friend, but then we split and I someone showed me how to ask grants. Because yeah, that's the difference. Is me, I make my films only with art council grants. And the art council grants in Canada, they don't want you to have a producer. They want you to be the producer and to have the complete right on your... You can co-produce, who have a... Like for Dolls Don't Cry, I had a second producer, like a friend who helped me. But it's the most important thing for them is that you have the complete control of the artistic. So even if it's with a company, you have to own a part of the company and stuff like that. So I think they're really amazing. So it's the Art Council of Canada and the Conseil des Arts et Lettres du Québec, which is the CALC. And they're really super people, and they're like really warm when you have to talk with them, or really helpful. And
not much bureaucracy.
No, but actually the Art Council of Canada is the department of the government that wastes the less money in Canada, and all the money goes to, they do the minimum for themselves, and all the money goes to the artists. It's really important for them, and they always try to improve the thing. Like now the provincial and Canadian art councils don't have a date to deposit the project. You can deposit anywhere, anytime, and when they have enough, they just do it. So in that way, they make, instead of making twice a year, they're gonna do 3 or 4 times, I think, now, the reunion to choose the project. So that's really awesome.
And also they give you travel grants if...
Yeah, travel grants and things like that. Like now, actually, I received a letter today, but I don't know if I got the grant for this.
Okay, why? What was, like, unclear? You have to...
I told you I asked a grant to come here, and I received, my producer received the letter today, but I said...
Don't tell me.
Yeah, I said, don't tell me now.
Don't open the letter.
Yeah, okay. Tell me later.
Okay.
In case I get depressed if I don't have it, but yeah, I hope I have it. So yeah, sometimes I ask a grant, very, very rarely to travel, but I started really to make independent films since 2000, and since that I only live with grants, and I never take commercial work. Only I did 3 video clips for a friend, and most of the rest of the time I've been really lucky to get the grant. And
do you think we should go even more back in your life, because like what you brought with you and what you did with your first film, and actually it's a catrology, as we could call it. So it was somewhere in your head, it was somewhere like with you, it was in a diary, or it was like in a sketchbook, or it was like you wrote some stories, you had some reference, something happened?
I'd say as a really young child, I was really fascinated by the special effect in stop motion, but not because they looked well done or anything. I liked that they look fake. Like I really was fascinated by the movement of the monster. And when I was a child, I was often playing to be a stop motion monster, you know, like moving strangely.
Like Godzilla and King Kong.
Mostly like how do you call it? Like the American special effect they did, like Aladdin, not Aladdin, the Clash of the Titan and stuff like that. Okay. Sinbad. So it was always on TV when I was young, and I was really impressed by how unreal the movement were. So I think that started me. But I'm more like a drawing person, really. Like to me, I don't consider myself good at making puppets. Like I'm always disappointed at puppets because I only make puppet when I make a film. I never practice sculpture or anything. So I made only a few puppets in my life. So that's the. So when I look at my puppets, I'm always a bit disappointed. Except the last blonde puppet, I was really, she kind of saved me.
And let's, just for the record, this is not Anne Breiman, our guest. And
no, but there's a lot of joke going on about this. But yeah, like yesterday I was watching the film and I was sitting next to her. So, you know, when you look, you kind of see like this, you know. You don't see only this, you see the sides. I was watching my film, and next to me I could see someone had the exact same haircut, like blonde hair. So it was really good. So yeah, I come from more from drawing. I'm not like I cannot draw any other style than mine. I just have a way to draw, and that's all I can do. And this is I don't really keep my drawings, so I just have a few. And this one I happen to have make a photo with the iPhone.
Seeing this drawing, actually, can you put it back?
Yeah, there's just
it would be like for me. Are you fascinated with anime and manga? Because it's when you see those big eyes and.
I only watched manga when I was the only 1 year when I was 18 years old because someone gave me a VHS of Akira and I really got crazy about it.
Akira. Yeah.
Akira, yeah. But then after I tried to find other films that were interesting and I was always disappointed in them. But no, I don't really read comic books or I don't. And manga, really rare time someone lend me.
But you read books.
Yeah, I read history books. Actually, I'm not a person who really need to have an escape in the imaginary world. Like I don't really like so much to be entertained or have a fiction. And more I grow up, like right now, except in festivals, I have difficulty to watch films. So yeah, I read history book. I really have a strong interest in that, but that's another topic. So yeah, I can show you another drawing. That's my sister. She's a really beautiful singer. She makes very beautiful songs, so I draw her.
So folk musician or?
Yeah, she like for my anniversary, she recorded songs of Leonard Cohen, and she made me a little album, stuff like that. And she has a very tiny, beautiful voice. So I just draw her and send it to her. And maybe this summer I did a comic book, and just because I had nothing to do, so which I don't know, I will probably never do anything with it. But that's just one frame of it, but it's more like a funny story.
But it was a self-published fanzine
type? It's not finished. I still have 6 pages. It's a 90-page comic book that I made. I was in the village this summer again, small village called Ponigamuk, and I just made this comic, but I got tired before to finish the last 6 pages.
So no publisher, it's your own project?
No, I make a lot of comic books between the films, but I just show it to 1 or 2 friends, and then I had just printed in one book together. It's like 600 pages or something, and I just put it in a drawer. I don't know. Maybe my nephew will fall on it someday and think they're funny. It's just for fun. So yeah. So do you want me to show a little bit of the films?
Yes.
Or?
Yes.
Okay. So we can go to the Draw and the Crow. I can just show a little part. Definitely not the beginning. Let's just skip. So it's really similar. It's to Adults Don't Cry because they kind of paint and. But there's not this idea of film in film. But let's put the blonde puppet. There's a blonde puppet.
Sorry, who is sound?
I don't know. Is there
Marco?
sound on this computer?
Yeah. Wait.
That's okay. You can see the puppets are really like no good. Like the eyes only painted. And
Yesterday you were telling us that your puppets are probably the lightest puppets in the whole world because you are making them in your own way. So it's like you don't follow also those technological things in stop motion puppets.
I don't know how to make a mold, for example. I have no. It's only styrofoam. Styrofoam which we put between the walls to isolate the homes, like blue or pink, and everything is covered with masking tape. Masking tape is really an amazing thing to make a handcraft. It's really easy and so that's the Draw and the Crow. This film was done it's a 12-minute film, but it was shot in 8 days. So it's a very quick production. Like I had very small money. I don't know. Maybe I had like $10,000 or $12,000 to make the film. So.
And it was the first one where you created this world of yours.
There's one before. I don't know if you saw it. It was not much screen. I don't put it there, but it's called The Little Abyss, Le Petit Gouffre, and that's the. Because I didn't say I won a contest which was at the National Film Board. I made one film at the National Board. I guess you know that. No, it was the Cinéaste Recherché, which is like for a new comer animator. Every 2 years they were making a contest, and then you could make a film there. And I made a cartoon there, which is not on their website, and I really appreciate they didn't put it. But I really hated to work at the National Film Board. And when it was over, I said, no, I'm never going to work with you again. But still, I appreciate them. I think they're very nice people. But to me, it was too complicated, too many people to deal, and too many people when you're working, like coming in your office. And so it really... It was like the worst time in my life. I'm sorry.
Luckily, you discovered this early in your development.
Yeah, totally. I really appreciate it, because otherwise, maybe now it would be my goal, and to make like a good film there, but it would be like a disaster. I think I'm really not the right person for them. That's mostly like my goals are very different than their goal. Like,
what's your goal?
My goal to come here is really
go to Hokkaido as many times as possible.
Like the price in New Shitose, that was the price I won, and then so I have no really ambition. My goal is really to be free and to do whatever I want all day, to not work in the summer or things like that.
I suggest we see some more, and then we talk over, because it's or maybe the princess.
Yeah, we can see. Princess is really...
Any children in the room? No? Okay.
Maybe I should put a scene which is not too dark.
No, but okay. It's okay to show dark things, because I think it's...
It's loud now, right? Yeah.
Frédérick, I assume you like horror films, or like you have something towards the genre of horror.
I don't like horror film, but at that time I was really influenced by Eraserhead. Definitely, yeah. And and just before to make this film, I watched Eraserhead, and I really was influenced by the sound, but I can say now these things doesn't really influence me. I feel like the thing of my youth are a bit disappearing. So now I'm more influenced by like a French new wave, or like a 60s cinema and mute cinema. But at that time, yeah. But the idea was, I thought like there's no horror film in stop motion. Like
well, Robert Morgan is...
Yeah, but it's a funny horror film. Like the blood looked like strawberry jam, or you want to taste it. But I thought, I think it was released before his film, maybe.
Which?
The Robert, the one with the head flying. Bobby, yeah. Because I didn't know his film before. Yeah, but yeah, he did some creepy things. Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah,
Robert
the early
Morgan,
one. The early one. Yeah, the
was
really
our
creepy.
jury member, and he explained how his world is being constructed, and he made also the intro for the ABC of that.
Okay.
So, fiction film, horror film.
Okay.
But let's continue with your characters. I would say that actually you show them in an everyday environment, and even though it's like they are always like in some reclused rooms, like in this case, like deep in the woods, with Blanche Fraise again, deep in the woods. Even if they are rabbits, they are anthropomorphic, so they behave like human, and they do everything. They eat, they sleep, they make love. They don't go to the toilet. That's maybe
in this film. She goes in the toilet.
Okay.
And there's a spider.
So
I wanted to do dirty things in this film. Yes.
It's a realism actually that you're approaching in your own way, no?
Yeah, because I found what is interesting is more like I don't care too much about the big concept. I really like to make them do a very daily, usual life and things like eating or cooking. Oh, sorry, it's getting dark.
No, it's why.
And yeah, so it's really more about the small gesture, like in this film, I was really trying to make a horror film, but I wanted to be like some kind of at the same time poetic and touching. So to make for me the important part of the film is really the relation between the two women, which found each other and they kind of team up a little bit. So they help each other, and I found I really like that idea. So that's a bit. Maybe I can show Blanche Fraise now. Yeah. So this film was they didn't get as much attention as The Drawer and the Crow, I think, because it's too dark. And but the one that took the most attention before Dolls Don't Cry was Blanche Fraise. I was really lucky. I didn't understand why people liked it so much. It's a film I'm kind of disappointed, me, Blanche Fraise, because I think I realized the film was too long at the time, and I was getting out of production, and I had to change the ending. I don't remember exactly what was supposed to be the ending, but I'm a bit disappointed in the improvisation. Because, yeah, I have to say all these films are done without storyboard, without scenario, without any preparation. Like, even I don't design the puppets. And Blanche Fraise, I don't know, I was a little bit... At a point, I really liked the film, but then eventually I think I kind of drop it a little bit, but anyway, it's because they don't take too much time to do. That was my idea. I thought I was not really ready to make a good film, so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna make like a film a year and do it very fast with very small money. Like this was $12,000. It's a 6-month project.
Basically, you need the money to live.
Yeah, because I don't hire anybody.
But with sound design nowadays, or even with Blanche Fraise, you already work with sound designers?
No. I make the sound myself, and I mix it with headphones, and I screen it everywhere, and I never really had the problem or a complaint about the sound actually, because now. Which
means you're a great sound designer.
But the equipment are so good today. We don't make low-fi anymore. Like so, I'm in the studio where I record it. I can hear sounds from outside. Like cars and stuff like that. So I record in the night, but it's not a good studio. But it's really possible to do a good job with nothing. I found like for the equipment.
Tell us white strawberries, Blanche Fraise. It's something deeper meaning in Quebec or
Blanche Fraise. It's like because Snow White in French is Blanche Neige. So I thought Blanche Fraise because I thought about I found the title at the end. I'm really bad at title or making posters or something.
I think you are good. Actually, it's like so strong. Like Blanche Fraise, Dolls Don't Cry, Princess. Those are titles that they tells it.
Thank you. I only like the first one I did. It was called the title was The Little Abyss. So in French it's Petit Gouffre, and I like that title. But it's really I wish I could make a film which there were no titles and no generic. Yeah. Really, I would be like my dream. But yeah, so the title came in the end. And when I make the film, I always think, what can I put as a title? But usually it's at the end. But the strawberry. It's been a long time that I thought about this film, but strawberry is like the way that they can escape somehow in this world. But it's the only beautiful thing in the world, but it's a poison. It's inside. It's kind of black. So there was some kind of idea like that.
Oh, similar to the goba fungus mushroom, like the red with white dots. No?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And the woods for you, like the nature, is an important factor. I mean, for your life, but then also like we could see it in your film.
I think that actually that's the first film that goes out of the. You say huis clos, huis clos, only one room. So that's the first time I went out of it. So, but I really enjoyed working with the forest because it's really amazing that you can make always these. You can put always a tree in front, or there's a branch, and you can make like very. Easily
optical place.
Yeah, like composition, and you can move the trees and nobody noticed that it's not the same because it's like too abstract or something, but you can cheat always like from a shot to another. So it was really fun. And actually these puppets are like 90 centimeter to 1 meter. So the forest was really huge. It was the trees were going to the ceiling. It was not high like here, but and I make it like I told you in the Heart studio, La Bande Video, but I always film like at night, all night, and so I was sleeping in the forest. So it was really funny. I just put a bed, a small mattress, and in the night often I sleep a few hours.
Lighting and camera, how much attention you put on it? Because like
Okay.
in a way, when we talk
Yeah.
about your films, you got the impression that you want to get rid of everything that
Yeah.
is too much or that is
Yeah.
not needed. But still, light is very important with puppets, right? So
Yeah, but I'm probably the person who cares the less about it, and I wish I could be better. But I like when I was doing this film, I was making 40 to 30 seconds per day of animation. So that include putting the light. But I know animators, they take 1 day to put their light. But I think it's something maybe I could get better later. But I thought even if I put a lot of attention, I don't think I have the knowledge to make it very right. So I just do it as I feel, and I don't really care. And I'm very conscious about positioning the camera, and I think that's why I don't want to work with storyboard, because when you get the camera in your hand, you can put it like anywhere. And also my story is really because there's no facial expression or nothing. Most of the emotion are done just by the camera and angle and the following of the shots. It's really like I think a Robert Bresson style a little bit for me. I discover him later, but when I discover him, I found we have a lot of similarity in the way to think the cinema. It's really one shot after another.
You said now one thing that's also important. Usually in animation, but especially puppet animation, eyes and lip sync and facial expression are so important to communicate the emotions. But with you decided that you don't.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think it kills the puppet if the face is moving, because the puppets, they have this natural expression, and whatever happens to them, they have this kind of a really strange emotion that it gives. Like in this movie, like something terrible happened, very like violent or scary, but the puppets, she always keep that kind of untouchable face, and I really like that feeling. And I think, like I said, it's only the way that you kind of tell the story and put the frame to the other and a little bit the sound, but it's really the people who gonna put the emotion to the character. And if you notice in my film, I'm like Dolls Don't Cry. I'm trying totally to avoid like the acting almost. Like I don't make a mannering movement. I make them very straight, very simple movement. Always, it's really important for me. Like. And I want their emotion to be completely contained, because I think in reality we are like that. Like we are like good actors, everyone. We kind of contain always our emotion. Whatever happened, we don't show exactly. So sometimes for me, when I watch the stop motion film, it's too expressive. Like if the puppets are a mime somehow, and they're gonna mimic when there's no dialogue, they're gonna mimic the dialogue and be very, and I can feel that the animators, they really love to animate and they really love to do that thing, but I think in my film it wouldn't work at all. So it's really important for me to do it very straight. And in Dolls Don't Cry, all I was trying was to animate as slow as possible.
Should we see the trailer for Dolls Don't Cry maybe, like just to get a little bit more in the mood, and then also like this changement from black and white to color, you will talk later after the. Yes.
Yeah, go.
Picture big of the
The,
full screen image.
Now here.
sorry? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I thought it would be less scary if it's small.
He's afraid you will all get too scary and run away.
So, is this the preview?
This is, I think,
Yeah, it's right. Yeah.
one hand,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know that. I'm not very good with Vimeo. I'm really not active on Vimeo.
This is not false modesty. This is how Frédérick Tremblay really is. So it's
I'm
somebody.
It's difficult.
Marco, demo pomaghi.
Someone has a Mac.
Yeah, this is PC. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's so sensible in the PC I
you go.
found. So.
Should I do it?
Yeah. Let's try to not talk, and let's watch it. Was it difficult for you to make the trailer? Because and then why you decided to make it? Because
Okay.
it's the first time I think that with your films you have a
Yeah,
trailer.
yeah, I was really against trailer for short films because it spoil a lot. But is it gonna play again or?
No, let's stop it. Let's go back to the. Go back there.
Okay, wait. All right, I'm gonna put something better. Okay. That's the village where I made the film.
Okay,
No, sorry.
so the trailer thing, and then I think we should really show the few images that you have, but I think they are important, connected with the production of Dolls Who Cry.
So the trailer, I didn't make trailer before. First, because I'm really bad at doing anything that is like an advertisement of the film. Now my producer made co-producer with me made the Facebook and everything, and he's taking care, and I'm really happy that he's enjoying that. But but this one was really obvious to make the trailer. I thought I had this and it's one of the scenes I prefer in the film, and it's kind of just an invitation, and then it doesn't spoil too much. Like I didn't want to show that someone is filming animation and in my film I only like the blonde dolls, so I don't care about the man. I didn't want to show the man in the preview, so it's really came naturally, and just add a little bit of the music, and
Okay, before I leave you to go through the photos and talk about the process of making Dolls Who Cry, maybe you should clear few more things. Like, okay, so blonde puppet girls. Is it connected with, I don't know, like you have vivid dreams, or there is something Freudian in I should like this thing Freud came out, because there is something there. So either connected with sexuality, connected with dreaming, connected with wish or fantasies. I don't want you, if you are not feeling comfortable to.
No, not at all. I'm not like a fantasy person. I don't really. I have friends who make art, and they tell me like they always imagining. Me, when I make a film, I only think about how to make a cinematographical something. It's not really the. And my dream, I have the most boring dream. I only have like dreams which are conversation. Or I always dream about my dog that I had when I was a teenager come to see me and stuff like that. So I don't really have this dream. But I really like I like cinema for the image. I don't like cinema for the dialogue or the sound. And for me, the cinema is what I like in cinema is portrait of a woman. So that's really usually I watch a film when I found this interesting female character and the way they film. And so for me, cinema it's about women a lot. So that's, I don't know, and I really like when I animate. I like to I feel very attached to the female character because I think it's normal. It's like when I remember when I was a teenager, I really liked to draw the women, not the men. It was like kind of a fantasy, of course, but I think it's a natural thing, I guess. I don't know. I really like to imitate the kind of a gracefulness of a woman. It makes beautiful image. That's all. That's for me. It's just.
I would say that your construction of a female character in animation would, even if there would be feminists like watching your film, they would not feel offended, because like you usually the bad part, when guys are depicting women with big boobs, like with the Crambesque Robert Crumb fantasy of like But for you it's really like it's aesthetically beautiful, and I hope like women part of the public. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Really? Is there any disagreement?
I didn't see all the
Anybody?
movie, yeah, I think so. But I was really impressed. Like mostly it's the women who come to make me a comment, and even in Princess, like there's this famous filmmaker. I don't remember her name, but she makes a really dark film, and she came to talk to me about. I think it was Princess, but not about the fact that it was dark, but like she was touched about the details of it, I guess. And so like now in some films there are like a sexual part, but when I think about new films, I really have no interest to make a sexual scene again or things like that. I really just like the very simple, soft,
erotic.
Yeah, just like some kind of finding a poetry in it. So.
Okay, Frédérick, do you allow me just to make one announcement
totally.
with the festival, and then we go through the images and we talk about Dolls Who Cry. If anybody wants to visit the the exhibition, we had so many exhibitions this year at Animateka by Slovenian author Timon Leder, The Vessel. We have a making of exhibition at the Three Bridges in the center of Ljubljana. One of our volunteers, she will take you, and it should be like in 5 minutes. So if anybody has it's kind of like wanna see it, otherwise, because it will be a guided tour by the author, and I promise that I will make this announcement. So who will take the possible? Okay, so if there is anybody like in 5 minutes.
You can finish it too if you like.
Huh?
You can
No,
finish
no.
like.
It's so important that we continue.
I want to go
I think.
there too.
So maybe then, if somebody want to go, you call Sasha and Timon, and it will be like in 15 minutes. Start from here, okay? Okay, so we have 15 minutes to close it.
Okay.
So I want you, Frédérick, now to show us some
Okay.
the only images that actually that you have, and I think that they are very important because, okay, again to say, I will say it. It was 4 years of the process of making, and 2 years. I think you choose that you would like to go to live in a faraway countryside house, 6 kilometers to the first shop where you could buy some food, and beautiful nature. So I'm leaving you the mic to describe everything.
Yeah, I was trying to make a movie, and it was kind of impossible because for the first time I was trying to do it without the La Bande Video, the art center. I wanted, not without them, but I wanted to do it in my apartment, just to work all the time. But in Montreal, it was too expensive to have a big space and renting. So, and my film I was trying to make another film, and it was going nowhere. So suddenly, it happened in 1 week. I decided, okay, I'm leaving. So I contact the landlord, and they are very friendly people, so they let me leave. So, and I have a friend which is a teacher where I studied in a small town called Rivière-du-Loup, and this man in another village, very small village, where they're like 3 little village, and together they make 2,000 people, but they are very far village. Separate village around the lake, and he bought for $15,000. He bought the village school, which was a school in the 50s, and nobody uses it anymore. He doesn't live there, so it's just like a place where he's doing his art stuff, but he doesn't go there since he has a girlfriend. So I just said, okay, I need to do something, because otherwise I'm gonna go down and I'm never gonna stand up. So I said, I want to go there. I don't know how long, and it was like so finally the film, I did it for 2 years there, and I was like completely alone. I didn't know anybody there. Maybe I saw someone once a month or something, like I have a conversation once a month. One of the first thing why I wanted to go there is I was sure that there would be no Wi-Fi, no internet. So that was really important to me. I didn't want any distraction anymore, and I was tired to always have to refuse my invitation from friends. No, I cannot, I have to work. So I decided to go to this school. Yeah, I think like this, right? No, it doesn't work. Maybe here. Okay, so this village is like a forest. It used to be the place where they cut the trees. So now they don't cut the trees.
Lumberjack.
Yeah, lumberjack. Is it like that?
Redneck. Maybe.
No. It's actually the people are really super cool there. Like,
Québécois.
Yeah, but they're in some village you're gonna go, and it's gonna be a little bit harder. But there, because there's a lake, and it's a place where the people go on vacation, so it's really super friendly.
Civilized.
And they're really nice to me, and they're really helpful. So, but it's really a going down village. But so there's no work at all. So that's the road and it's just by the border of the United States. So here is Canada, and there is United States. So every day I walk in the United States to think.
You can't do it anymore nowadays, I would say. Now with the new president, he will build a wall.
Not in Canada. It would just be a big waste of money. There's nothing dangerous in Canada, really. Maybe if you want to stop the deer or something to escape from United States. So that's the building. So once there was a store there, like we can see a little bit like a spot. When I arrived at the beginning, there was a store, but just as I arrived, they moved to another building. So after that, I could not buy a chocolate bar or anything. But it doesn't work well, this thing.
No, it should, because stop there and then.
Okay. So that's the owner of the building. He takes care of it from time to time. I use a really good carpenter, so on the I was living on the top, and there's a really, really nice apartment. Like it's very warm feeling. Behind there's a high skate, and in the building, I think I don't have a picture, but there's a gym. Like the half of the building is a huge space.
Hey.
Someone could make a long feature
So
stop motion there. Like
this
you have
was
this
comfortable.
huge space, but I didn't use it to make the film because it's too huge and it's.
You know, when you were telling me about this, and I didn't saw any picture. Actually, I was imagining the place you were living, like a hut, like in your films, like almost like how you call it this when you are when you don't have nothing and you are what's this expression? You know, when you have only like the basic thing, like
like
how it's called?
Hermit? No,
hermit.
Yeah, it was a hermit life. Like this village has only one street around the lake, and there's another small street. And in the winter, like they don't remove the snow from the sidewalk, and it's dangerous to walk. So you can just make a little walk, and so it was really. And there's only one restaurant in the hotel, which is not so far, but. And the bank is like 6 kilometers. There's 2 grocery, 1 6 kilometer and 5 kilometer, but I don't drive a car, so I had a bicycle. But in the winter, because I made most of the puppets and everything in the winter, I go to grocery only once a month. So it was really like a survival, and it's kind of cold in the building.
Eating beans in a can mainly?
I have a picture. This is the apartment. I ate a lot of sardines. Now I cannot eat it anymore because it's disgusting. But yeah, sardine was a survival. Sorry, the toilet door is open. I should have closed it. So this is just the kitchen, but just there's the room. I think we cannot see it, but it's really a very warm place. That's my sardine piles. I don't take picture of the film, but I took the picture of the sardine. So I think that's mostly what I had about the building. Terrible. Okay, so we can see a bit the studio here. So that was because when I arrived in Punigamuk, I tried to finish the film at first that I was doing. So I was reinstalling some stuff, but it was really no good. It was happening in a forest. It was really similar to Blanche Fraise. So at the beginning, I worked a bit on the previous project, and then finally I totally gave it up. See, I was kind of painting stuff again, and sorry, it's not in the right order, but that's the sound studio. I won a contest for animation. It was Prim in Montreal. That's a place where you can do residencies, mostly for post-production. But one year they make a contest only for animation, and the prize was to pay the complete soundtrack. So I could use a studio for making the sounds for 2 months, and had 1 week with a mixer. And it was really helpful. It was a really good occasion for me to just try to make sound, but in a more professional context.
So they gave you a studio, but no technician, or you
Yeah,
decided?
the technician, super genius guy, like was there. He had all the time for me, and he was super interested. And at the end, we mixed together, and he was like this super high-tech guy, but I forced him to make that very low-fi thing. And in the end, he was really enjoying it. So it was a super relation. So that's mostly everything I use for the film is on this table. That's the sound of the film. There was some big piece of wood and stuff like that. But it's really just the idea for me of making sound is to never use the object that you see for real.
So you did Foley by yourself as well?
Yeah. The film took 4 months to animate, but it took 2 months to make the Foley. So it's really a long job because there's a lot of sound that maybe you don't hear. But
no, the sound design, actually, yesterday I paid attention after seeing it for the second or third time in the cinema, and really then I realized, wow, like the work on the sound design is so strong.
Yeah, I had it very clear in my mind that I was tired that sorry for the sound, but I was tired that mostly the films at the National Film Board, that the sound takes too much place, I found, in the film.
Okay, if Kintis Lundgren would be here and Draško, that's what I was meaning, overproduced, really. I felt it's kind of like too much of music, too much of sound effect.
Yeah, mostly because they're making this very beautiful artistic film, and suddenly, and the guy who doing the sound, they're super genius, like they're great, but I think they put too much. And for me, because I started to watch a lot of mute films, and I don't like when they remake the music, so I got used to listen it without sound. And I started to really enjoy, and I really like the fact that if you want to make something like in the story to get weird, it has to pass by the image. But I found nowadays people are really going to the sound. Like they're filming something really normally, but they just put like a really weird sound.
Yeah.
And I really disagree with that idea.
You know what? Now when you're saying this, like me working at the Cinemateka, like on a daily basis, and we don't have so much money, so usually we play silent films silent.
Oh, really?
And
cool.
yeah, and the last one, like it was the Karl Theodor Dreyer, the Trpljenje Device Orleanske, what's the English title? The Jeanne d'Arc.
Okay.
Do you remember the whole title? Dreyer's.
No.
Ah.
Joan of Arc?
Joan of Arc, yeah.
Yeah, the classic. Like, yeah.
So
Without sound.
Now I think about Dreyer's, and I can think about your films as well. So it's kind of
it's because I'm doing mute cinema as much as I'm doing animation. Like I have to. It's really complicated to tell a story without dialogue. Not only without dialogue, but it's a story that doesn't need language. You know, so it's really it's a very big part of the problem to make the short film. To me, I wanted this film, the sound to be like, because people always say the sound is 50% of the film, and I thought like it should be like 10 or 20%, just to accompany.
just to follow,
just to give a little more to the animation, and in that film I was forced in the end to put a little bit like a dark noises. But now my idea is really to make a film which would have no music and just little sound and succeed to make a story that keeps the attention, even if it's only passing by the image. And so there's a lot of details in the soundtrack that we don't see. But for example, when it's a turntable, this turntable is stopping.
Yeah.
I made this sound, so it's like 15 sound over. I make a
Layers.
spring sound and a little and it was really fun. It's like building a machine. So the sound is also like an animation somehow.
What's the piano theme?
It's a CPA, Carl Emmanuel Bach. It's really like the first like 10 seconds of a piece, which was really sound modern. And the rest of the piece is really different, but just this little thing, and I thought, okay, and I asked a friend, can you just like do variation on just this little thing? It's just chords and really weird chords that the pianist had never really
played.
He was like surprised. Wow, what is that?
It reminds me a little bit of My Bridge Strings by Koji Yamamura, where that it's more than developed, and because it's written it goes back, but the tune it's kind of like really it makes sense. It's accompanying again the film, as you're saying. It's not there to put emotions out.
No.
As usually cheesy piano in animation really is kind of like terrible.
I feel
sometimes.
weird that I put piano on a film, but it was the only thing that really was the lowest. I found like the most normal thing, but I put the music only when they're listening to music, and that was kind of important. I didn't want to have a music that actually I didn't want to amplify any emotion. I was wondering if people could kind of feel the emotion, if it's really like at the minimum, like a very tiny line or so that was
Can we go through all the images?
I
really want to see them.
So that's really when you see my set, it's not really impressive, and even if you see the puppets in real, it's always a bit disappointing. I think there's really a thing with when you film a puppet, and then it kind of gets.
Here you're explaining something to somebody, or it's a self-made photo?
No. I think there was like students from the Rivière-du-Loup school, the city which is the closest, and they came to visit. But I removed the picture with the students. I feel strange to show. But it was really simple. I had like 5 backgrounds, but I only had the space. I could have taken more space, but I wanted a small studio, so I just had 2 floors. And I didn't have time anyway to make more floors, so I had to, because the story is completely improvised, sometimes I had to think ahead so I can film like 2 scenes on the same floor, and then I don't have to change the background just to save some time.
Another very important thing, what you're saying now, so it's edited directly.
Yeah, and the editing you see is almost exactly the one that I did when I was animating. Like I just changed a little bit some things, but I watch the movie all the time. I put a frame, I film an animation, I put it in the editing, and then I watch almost everything I did again, and then put another, and then watch everything. So I watch the film a lot of times, and I think it's really possible to improvise now, like very well, because we can do the editing, and it's in doesn't make the computer slower when you animate or anything. So. But this Dolls Cry is the most improvised film I did. Except that I knew the ending. I didn't want to think about how the story was going, and I had no idea. I wanted to make a long film, but at a certain point I was so late that I thought, okay, I'm going to try to make a 12-minute film maybe, but I realized that if I want everybody to understand the story, even the people who don't make stop motion, I had to explain a lot because the puppet breaks, and I wanted people to understand that when you make a film, the puppet is going to break. So that make the story longer, and also I wanted the people that can watch the film and they can understand exactly how the film is made. So
the only strange thing when when you are depicting reality, also showing the process of filmmaking, everything is correct and just. But this situation when you would have like a man animating during day and then like the female coming and repairing, that's something that it's really weird in a way, but it's the main purpose of your story.
Yeah,
here.
Because I shoot the film mostly in the night, and when I my schedule was wake up at 11 and go to bed at 6 a.m. So from 11 to maybe 2 p.m. I was making what I need to continue the story because I didn't build everything before, because I have new ideas, so I have to build something. So I pass the time. So in the day I was building the puppets, and in the night I was the filmmaker.
You know what? So I think now I realized the deepest meaning of your films and you. The blonde girls is your alter ego.
No, not really.
Yeah.
No, not really.
I mean, you have a female and a male, as we all have.
Yeah. I think but I think I don't have the sensibility of a woman or. No, it's really for me. I don't even think that the character is really me. Like me, I lose my hair. He has hair. I don't have a washing machine. He has a washing machine. So, but that was not my intention. I wanted to make a film personal, but it was more on the philosophy of the film than on the
than on the psychologization of characters. Yeah.
Because this idea of film in film, I had it in my mind for some time to make a film about film because I really like film about film. But at first, I wanted to make a love story. I wanted to make a love story with the puppet love story. I mean, with the emotion at the scale of the puppets. That was really the main idea. I wanted to make a super minimal love story, but I didn't want it to be fake because in animation we tend to make it over romantic, I think. So I wanted some kind of a realistic love story. Like they're not too sure if they're becoming a couple somehow. That's the scene where she crosses her legs in front of the door and they're kind of confused. They just had an affair before and finally they kiss. I wanted to do something like that. I was really inspired by the film like Il Posto of Hermano Olmi. Like it's very soft, but I wish I could make a film like that with stop motion, but I'm not there yet. But that was the main idea at the beginning. And then to make it more like I also wanted to make a stop motion film that could be only told by stop motion. And I wanted to make a film which the puppet would not play a role of a character, they would be puppets. So this all combined together.
But do you think, Frédérick, this leads you toward like live action cinema, maybe? Hopefully one day, if somebody would ask you or if you would have a chance. And you never shot, not even like a short...
I shot music video. I really like to shoot like documentary style, but I never did documentary. But I don't like acting. And I screened the film only in one festival, which was not an animation festival. It was in Quebec. The film won the national prize, but it was the only animation film almost in the festival. And it was all screened with live action actors. And saying I said that like humbly anyway. But when I got out of the theater, I had this strange feeling, and I thought, finally, like the best actor in the movie, in the screening, puppets. Was my puppet, because all the other, they were like, of course it's short film, it's kind of amateur, but they all feel like faking.
Overacting.
Yeah, or even if it was trying to make intimacy. Mostly I have difficulty with intimacy in cinema, because I always cannot forget that someone is filming. But I thought the puppets, they're never faking, they're only this character, like they don't have a past, they don't have a life. So that's the thing I really couldn't switch to live action, because there's too much of a world around it. I found it. And when you do stop motion, you're totally telling your story, like it's only this. But for me, live action has another world, which is like fame, and I don't know how to say. But if I would do, maybe someday I will do a drawing film, maybe. But definitely live action, I don't know.
I
Maybe a
feel-
mute film.
Yes, silent.
Yeah.
I feel, I mean, it was almost like we should say this was a presentation of your work, but and I would like to leave like at least 5-10 minutes
Yeah.
to discussion. So, do you think that's something that we forgot that's very important to say about Dolls Don't Cry? Actually, like, okay, we already say that it's
It's the size of the puppet.
okay. Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No. Like this, the independent way, it's possible. Okay, you're lucky. You told us about the Arts Council and
Yeah.
Canada as maybe the last socialistic country in the world. in a way, I would say, like it's
Yeah. Somehow, sometimes I feel like we have something like socialist
Yeah.
country, like the national TV and stuff like that.
But on the other hand, also when we discussed before about Robert Morgan and with Bobby being his personal project being made in his spare room, like in the evenings, just because of the need to do cinema, because of the need to tell stories, without any constraints, without any deadlines, without any bureaucratic work, without a producer that could be good or bad, but interfering with your work. So it's like I hope that like we all understand now that okay, yes, it's you have schools, you study, you have industry, but then it's so important for me and for the Animateka Festival that authors like Frédérick Tremblay exist and they prove with their work that it is possible and it's worth to do it this way.
Yeah, thank you. But I have deadline. I want to be at Animateka, so I have to finish it in time. But yeah,
Let's put one image for the back. You choose one, and then we open the light, and we leave like 5 to 10 minutes for Q&As, and then if anybody wants to go to the exhibition, we will go from the moment. I think that Timon he will wait there, right? You were correct. Okay, okay. So Frédérick Tremblay.
Thank you.
Come on, shoot him with your questions. Yes, please. Whoops. I knew that there will be a lot.
This is not deep. I just wanted to know, you put all your movies online afterwards?
If I what?
You put your movies online after
Yeah.
some time? Or
But this one I'm gonna wait more longer for Dolls Don't Cry, but I have 4 on Vimeo that you can watch completely.
So after they were on the festivals, you put them online for free? And
yeah, you can. You can watch the one that I showed anytime. But this one, if you want to see it, you can send me an email and I can send you a password. But until now, it's just with password.
Yeah, but this question was probably because, especially young authors, I'm sorry, they are afraid if they put their video online that then festivals will not accept it. Good festivals, they don't care. You know, it's like it's even better.
Yeah, but I wait like 2 or 3 years before to put it.
I think now this is changing. So,
yeah,
you know.
But I don't know. I want people to see it on the big screen, and I want people to enjoy it in festival. Like I have no interest in the internet really. So no. I think the festival you're doing like something that makes us want to make films. So really, totally, I think we should wait a little bit for internet, and I hope this festival thing is going to continue longer, even if people like watch things more and more at home. I think it's really keep alive. Yeah, I respect that. Yeah, like somehow it was paid by the government, so I feel that somehow I have to put it like that everybody can see it. But if someone is making the film with his money or private money, I think like we could pay like $2 to watch the film. Like it's nothing, you know. We pay $1 for Coca-Cola. So.
Andrea,
I have some comments. Is working? Yeah. Also about this, I think that it's up to you to choose to put it on or not on internet. I know people that put the day after they finish the film, like Blue, and people that wait for. But it does not be a rules that is obliged because the festival wants this. I think that this is a little bit something that I don't like. About your process of making films, I'm not only in sympathy with you, but in empathy, because I like very much your approach that is almost improvised with a rough way and lo-fi aesthetics that I like very much, because it brings something more than the being so precise, etc. I disagree with you that you say that sound is less,
Sure,
less
I
than
was thinking about
50% because you are maybe the only
Yeah.
filmmaker I
Yeah.
heard to say I dedicate 2 months for sound. Nobody's dedicated 2 months to sound. Also, if you want a financial support for sound and you profit of this, but you spend 2 months. Nobody here producing film spend 2 months for sound.
Yeah,
That's
but you
true.
make sound. Sound is
Yeah,
super fun to make.
yeah.
I have more fun to make sound than animation, really. Like sound is amazing. It's really a complete free experimental process.
And I like that you teach to the sound designer, that the technician work with you to use lo-fi.
Yeah, like for example, you know, when they go to the black corridors, like sometimes I let him go a bit, and he wanted to put a lot of effect, reverb, and I said, no, we're gonna remove everything, like all the reverb, all the effect, and finally he was super excited about this idea, like so it's really like a raw sound, like a dry. So.
And then I ask you which.
I think, Andrea, sorry, I think you are about to write a book about sound design in film. You were telling me, so I hope you will include Frédérick's approach to.
No, I'm gonna read
not
it
because it said less than 50%. So.
What did you say?
No, it's a joke. And I want to know the name of the village you were.
Oh, it's called Poenegamuk. Sorry, it's
wait, Pua?
Poenegamuk. I think it's a
like
native Indian word.
The lake is like this kind of
yes, like an L. Yeah, like an L.
National park.
It's like a summer camp. I don't know what to call
nice
it.
Place, yeah.
You went there?
No, not really there. But
Okay, yeah, you went in the region. Yeah, it's really forest. You know, like it's really.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and I hope we can talk about sound. Really.
More? I would really like to hear it from like 2 great stop motion animators. Yeah, Thomas.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Because I don't know. I think that you didn't knew so much the work of Frédérick, or you saw it at Anima Fest probably, and yeah.
I'd seen White Strawberries before actually.
Okay.
But yeah, it was at Anima Fest. Sorry, I suppose, not to go into technique and things too much with the animation, but as a more general question, you said that you were sort of constantly remaking the same film.
Yeah.
Do you feel now that Dolls Don't Cry is the final film, or are you going to remake it again?
No. Like I said, it was really my intention to kind of make a book, a circle, like an end to the series. So the film for me kind of is the end, and it goes back to the first film, The Draw and the Crow. And I wish I could now kind of go on something else. I'm not sure yet what, but you know, like I can never achieve the quality of animation that you're doing, or some people that they're doing like awesome the background and stuff like that. And I'm not sure if I will do that, but I think the only thing I could do that would be like special is to try to make a 1-hour film all by myself with the same thing, like no through production, nothing. And I think I could do that, because this one I was filming 20 seconds per day, so it's 20 minutes. It took 4 months, so that's the only thing. And I think if I succeed to do that, probably I would stop after or something like that, be a teacher or I don't know what. But if I could just make a 60-minute film, I think I would be satisfied.
But did you had a moment? Sorry to interrupt you. You had a moment during this process that you felt really like, ooh, it's too much, or you were tired, or you kind of wanted to give it up, everything.
And really, I thought I was never gonna do a stop motion after, but then you show it, and I have people like you who kind of cheer me up, and it makes me feel like I can maybe try it again once, and it's really revived to see the reaction. And
I think. To create stop motion in the way that you do, in this kind of pace, somehow you've captivated trying to think of the right word, an emotion in the characters and in Dolls Don't Cry really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very envious of this kind of speed of production, because actually the way that we kind of make our films, it's
yeah, I see the difference in the result. Like the movement are completely different in your animation than mine. So I can see that you work like very precisely and very very slowly and with I guess a lot of thinking, which I don't do at all. I just do it right away. And
But then it takes ages.
yeah. But like somehow
Okay.
I think it's beautiful, like when the movements are really smooth and so. But I cannot. This one is smoother because I was moving the characters as slow as I could, so always the smallest space between image, so it's smoother than the other one that I did. But still, it's not a 24-second image per second.
But for you, it's instinctive, so it's instinct, pure instinct.
Yeah.
While for
Yeah.
for example, Thomas
Yeah.
and Ivana, it's instinct as well, but with a lot of preparation and a lot of
Yeah, I guess so.
like
I guess they have a communication, like acting and stuff like that, which is awesome when you're two people animating. It's wonderful. It's, like you become very much patient, I found, if you're two-person animating than alone. Like you cannot get mad in front of the other person too much. So, sorry, you wanted to say?
Yeah, I think also the characters, the way that they are designed, they also kind of give, they put what kind of animation it will be. Because we are making kind of very realistic puppets, so it's kind of expected to make realistic movements.
Yeah, definitely.
While your characters are much more stylized, and this animation really fits to
Yeah.
the characters.
Yeah, the puppets are made at a super speed too, like because they have paper clothes. I couldn't change the clothes, so I have to make the body different body for all the clothes. So each character, like the girl had 8 body, so I have to do it very quickly. And but I don't design first. Like I like to draw, but I don't draw my characters before. I just do it directly, and if the head is no good, I throw it away and I start again. I try to make another one. It's not good until I have a good head.
We actually do design, and we find a lot of images, but at the end it turns out something different.
Really? Oh.
Yes, because we are not actually sculptors. So it kind of like under the fingers, it kind of you're shaping and shaping, and then until it appears.
Yeah, but I think it helps to be more stylish somehow. Maybe when you prepare it before, which I think it's a bit a lack of.
This time I will allow 3 more questions, so it's the complete opposite than all the masterclasses. Nobody has anything to ask. So 3 more. With Thomas, you don't count. Yeah, okay. You finish.
I didn't notice blinking. Do you use like blinking in your films? Because you talking about the static faces.
Only when they sleep, they have their eyes closed, and it's really tough to do. I found, so I wouldn't make them blink. But
but then you do like add some liquid for tears in some other films. And
in other films they were liquid for tears or things like that.
Tears or sweat. Sometimes.
No, I don't know if I did. Did I do? I don't think I did sweat. I did tears.
I think in Princess there is sweat of fear sweat.
No, I think you imagine it.
Okay.
No,
or
there
like
was
the wolf has some saliva coming out.
No, it's just I use a varnish to very shiny. I put it in the eyes and I put it on the lips, or I put it on his mouth. But
Okay, guys. Like you will have a private conversation afterwards.
I didn't hear.
think Leona, she has something to ask. And 2 more, really, so we have to close because we have to continue with the festival.
Yeah, I have plenty of questions as well, but they're a bit maybe too long. But just about the story, I don't know if I got it right. It's interesting how you said you didn't write any stories, right? I mean, nothing was scripted. So how did you have like a rough idea what you wanted to shoot, and then you just went along? And I mean, how did it work with the sets? Like I just imagine it's a bit messy.
That's the important part. Is when you make the set, you have a lot of time to think, because for me, making the set is the longest period of time in the movie. Of course, at the beginning I have an idea. Like I said at the beginning, I wanted to make a love story. So it was not a film in a film at the beginning. When I started to make the set, I had this idea to make the film in a film, but it was not someone making stop motion. So that came later. So at the beginning, it was supposed to be just a story, and then we would find out there are dolls. But then I decided to add another layers because I had to find what they do in the house, and I didn't want it to be something like a fake for me, like something I don't know about. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna do stop motion, and it made sense. But like for example, in the film, we see a pile of a dead body, dead puppet broken. I made this pile of puppets 3 days before to start to shoot, and I had no idea when it's gonna be in the movie. I just had the image. I said, oh, okay, yeah, maybe they could. I was not sure where, but I thought maybe in the corridor, but I didn't know it was like the end of the film. And as I shoot, and then I realized, oh yeah, I can use it. So, and there's a lot of things I built that I don't use, and a lot of things that I built during because I need, for example, if they she removed the blue dress, so I need to build the pieces of dress when she put it, and so every day I build something.
Yeah, because for producers probably it would be a nightmare. They would be like, no. I
Yeah.
need to know what you're doing, how, when, what, do a schedule. But also, so you had the three characters. So when you say a love story, for me actually, I sort of thought it's a love triangle in a way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had that sort of.
Yeah. I always kind of do that kind of story. I like it, but my idea was really clear that instead of the puppet kind of competing for the man, they would do the opposite, which is I think is the original part of the film, is that it's just their friendship that they develop, and that's what I really like about the film.
And then the maker in the end, is he a male as well? I mean, we don't see, we just see a hand.
That's the third film you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could have put real hands, or like my hands, but I thought, if I put real hands, the film end.
Yeah,
because the film doesn't have a clear ending,
Oh, this is great.
So I thought if I put the stop motion hand, that it means that there's another layer behind. So that was
for me it's like almost like a mirror and mirror effect, Like and then
something like that. Yeah.
Simulacra.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done. Next.
Okay, one more, two more. Students, nobody.
It's enough. Everybody wants to go to the other thing.
Okay, so actually it's lunchtime. Also, was you're showing us on the picture.
Styrofoam masking tape.
Frédérick, thank you so much for your sincerity, for your independence, for your energy.
Thank you.
And I really hope you will inspire some more people to choose maybe this way, which is not an easy way, but it's a life decision. Maybe it's a lifestyle as well. So it's kind of
somehow. Igor Prasel, mesdames et messieurs, thank you very
Frédérick
much.
Tremblay.
Thank you for your independence, Igor Prasel.